This is 10th standard English, lesson number 1.5, Joan of Arc. Now this lesson, the writer is George Bernard Shaw. He was there from 1856 to 1950, was an Irish playwright and critic. He wrote more than 60 plays during his lifetime, including major works such as Man and Superman in 1902, then Pygmalion 1912, and St. John 1923. He was leading dramatist of his time. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925. So this Bernard Shaw was a Nobel Prize winner, and he got this Nobel Prize in literature in year 1925. Now let's see what is there mentioned in this lesson. The war fought between England and France from 1337 to 1453 has come to be known as the 100 Years' War. Joan was a peasant girl born in eastern France who led the French army to several victories during this war. Now this war was the longest fought war, 100 years war it is known as. And this girl, this was a peasant girl, and she was born, her name was Joan, and she was born in eastern France. And because of this girl Joan, French army they won several victories during this war. And she was a peasant girl means a poor farmer girl, or the people those are working in field. So she was that peasant girl. This play begins at the time when all of northern France and some parts of the southwest were under foreign control. Now some of the parts were under foreign control of northern and southwest part of France. The English controlled some parts and the Burgundians controlled the others. So some of the parts were in the hands of the English rulers and some of the parts were under the Burgundians. The city of New Orleans, one of the few remaining French cities, was held by the English. The year is 1429. Captain Robert de Baudricourt, a military officer, is seated at the table. His steward stands facing him. Now this is a scene. Now this Captain Robert is sitting there. He is a military officer. The year is 1429, and he is sitting on the table and his steward is standing facing him. Let's see what is the conversation. Now this is a play. So there are characters here: Robert, steward, Joan. Okay. Now Robert said, "I told you to throw the girl out. You have 50 armed soldiers and dozens of strong servants to carry out my orders. Are they afraid of her?" Now this was a question made by this Robert, the military officer, and he questioned this steward that I told you to throw this girl out. This girl means the Joan. And you are having so many soldiers, you are having so many strong servants to carry my orders, that is to follow my orders, and still you have not thrown her out. Are they afraid of her? So this is a question. Now steward answered. What he replied? No sir, we are afraid of you, but she puts courage in us. She really doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. Perhaps you could frighten her, sir. Now what was the reply? That no sir, we are afraid of you, but she is putting what? Courage in us. And the girl, she means that girl, Joan, she really doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. That means she is so much daringful. Perhaps you could frighten her, sir. So he's telling that, sir, you only do something, you only handle. So Robert now he is angry after getting this reply from the steward. So grimly and very seriously. Grimly means seriously. Perhaps. Where is she now? Now that this is a question. Steward said, down in the courtyard, sir. Robert goes to the window and asks the soldiers to send the girl up. Now he gives the order that he sends a message to the soldier that bring that girl up to his office. Now the girl enters. She is a well-built, strong country girl of 17 to 18 years. So she is a young girl and well-built. So the squire neither frightens her nor stops her. She speaks confidently. So the soldiers, those who are there, they are squire means a person of a high rank. So this nothing is coming against her confidence and the daring and the courage. Nothing can frighten her. No one can frighten her, and she speaks very confidently. John said as she came there in front of this military officer, Robert. So, good morning, Captain Squire. So, she is giving respect to him. That is to the officer, military officer. You are to give me a horse and armor and some soldiers and send me to the Dauphin. Now, very straightforwardly, forwardly and without wasting much time, to the point, right to the point, what she said, she wished that captain, and she said that you are to give me. She is not asking that she is not requesting that you please give me or something, or she is directly telling that you are to give me a horse and armor and some soldiers and send me to Dauphin. Now it's it's like declaring, or it's like just giving a order. Now who is the authority here? The Robert, military officer. But in front of him, she is having that much of daring to speak out these words that you are to give me. That is, you ought to and you have to. There is no other choice for you. So she said that you give me this some soldiers, horse and armor. Some of the um, this all things you give me, and I'll go to Dauphin. Now, who is Dauphin here? Dauphin, the oldest son of the king of France, the one who would become the king after his father. So, this is the uh, oldest son of the king of the France. Now, Robert, this girl is mad. Why didn't you tell me so, you blockhead? So this is the question. This is again questioning to Stewart. So Stewart said that this is that why didn't you told me that this girl is so mad that she don't even realize with whom she is talking, and she don't find it that what to be done, and straight away she is entering in my business and like in my matters, and she is trying to give me the suggestion and orders. So Stewart said, sir, do not anger her, that is, do not become angry on her, give her what she wants. So this was the suggestion, this was a request, that give her what she wants. Robert said then, I shall send you back to your father with orders to put you under lock and key. So Robert said that I'll send you back to your father and I'll give the orders to be locked, that you will be locked. Joanne said, that girl, you think you will, squire, but it won't happen that way. You said you would not see me, but here I am. So this was the reply. So you think you will that that you will lock me, Squire, but it won't happen. She was so confident that this will not happen, that you will lock me and I will be locked some by you. And in that way, as you are telling, and because as you told before that you will not see me, but right now I am standing here in front of you. You cannot do anything to stop me. So Robert said, so you are assuming that I will give you what you want? Joanne said, yes, Squire. A horse will cost 16 francs. It is a big amount of money, but I can save it on the armor. But I don't need beautiful armor made to my measure. I can find a soldier's armor that will fit me well enough. I shall not want many soldiers. The Dauphin will give me all I need to free Orleans. Now, she is so confidently and very plainly she is replying that a horse will cost 16 francs. So it is a big amount of money. But I can save it on the armor. So it's she is telling that you give me horse, but armor means the clothes that are worn uh, while a war is there. So that is the, in olden times that was all leather jackets or the metal jackets that were helmet was there, jacket was there, then coverings of hands, then legs, that was there, so to protect one soldier of being attacked. So she said that don't give me armor, it's fine, I'll manage it, as I'll go to and I shall not want no, what she said, I can find the armor to my measure from one of the soldier. So I'll see that I'll manage from some of the soldier, but and I shall not want many soldiers. Don't give me so much of soldiers with me, group troop of soldiers, but when I'll go to meet Dauphin, he will give me all I need to free Orleans. So she was having that assurance that when once she will meet this Dauphin, the son of the king of France, then what will happen? He will give her everything that she needs. So Robert was shocked to free Orleans. Now this is, he was very much shocked to hear this word. John said, yes, yes, Squire. 3 men will be enough for you to send with me. Only 3 men. Polly and Jack have promised to come with me. You mean Monsieur de Poligny? So she said, yes. Squire Jack will come willingly. He is a very kind gentleman and gives me money to give to poor. I think John Godsave will come, and Dick the archer and their servants, John of Horncourt and Julian. There will be no trouble for you, Squire. I have arranged it all. You have only to give the order. Now she has already made the arrangements to go for this mission, and these all people are there to give her support. And Robert was very much shocked to hear this, that, and with a very surprising way to the steward, is this true about Monsieur de Poligny? Steward said, yes, eagerly, yes, sir. And about Monsieur de Metz too. They both want to go with her. Robert goes to the window and shouts into the courtyard, send Monsieur de Poligny to me. Will you? He turns. Now he immediately calls one of the officers there. Monsieur is French word for Mr. Then he turns to John. Get out and wait in yard. Okay. John said. Now John smiling brightly at him. Right, Squire, she goes out. Now she understood that at this point of time, Robert is very much angry and he is very much surprised and shocked to see that the way she has done the preparation to go on this mission. Robert said to the steward, "Go with her, stay within call and keep your eye on her. I shall have her up here again." So he gave the instruction to steward that you go with her and stand with her only and keep your eye on her. And when I'll call, that time you come with her. Steward retreats hastily. Bertrand de Poligny, a French guard, enters, salutes, and stands waiting. Now, this Poligny, a French guard, he comes there and he salutes to the officer, Robert. Robert directly says, "She says you, Jack, and Dick have offered to go with her. What for? Do you take a crazy idea of going to Dauphin seriously?" So this is the question. He was very much that you all have decided to go with this crazy girl and with her crazy idea and her mission, and you're going to see Dauphin. Poligny slowly, he said, "There is something about her. It may be worth trying, sir." Robert, "Oh, come on, Polly. You must be out of your mind," Poligny said, unmoved. "What is wrong with it? Dauphin is in Chinon, like a rat in a corner. Except that he won't fight, the English will take Orleans. He will not be able to stop them." So he was there. Dauphin was in such a position that he needed help. Otherwise, if he is not fighting, then what will happen? The region where he was there, it will go in the hands of English and they will take that Orleans whole land in their hand. Robert, he beat the English the year before last at Montigris. I was with him. Poligny. Now Robert was very much knowing that he was a good fighter and he had defeated English the year before the last and at where at Montigris, and he was accompanied. Robert was there in that war. Now Poligny said, "But his men are cowed and now he can't work miracles." Now here what it is? His men are cowed now, very much frightened, and he can't work miracles now. And I tell you that nothing can save our side now but a miracle. So Poligny's reply was, at previously what happened in the last war was like they were the people, those who were there with him, with Dauphin, was very much courageous. But now what happened? The people that are there with him, they are frightened. Robert, and miracles are all right, Polly. The only difficulty about them is that they don't really happen nowadays. So Robert said that miracles are there, but nowadays it's not happening. And after that, Robert wavering, "You really think that?" Poligny turning, "Is there anything else left for us to think? Let's take a chance. Her words have put fire into me." Now Poligny said, "Something is there in this girl's idea. and the way she has motivated, the way she is showing interest in helping is have really have put fire into me. That means have inspired and motivated. So Polangi was very much sure that something will happen this time. Robert giving up. Woof, whew. You are as mad as she is. Now this was the, so he was very much upset now. So what you are joining her? Polangi obstinately. We want, obstinately means in a stubborn and firm manner. We want a few mad people now. See where the same ones have landed us. Robert, I feel like a fool. Still, if you feel sure, Polangi, I feel sure enough to take her to Chinon unless you stop me. So Polangi now he was totally made his mind that, and he very much was firm in his decision that we want few mad people like us, as we are having this. If you think that we are mad, if she is mad, then we also who are giving him support are mad only, and this madness is making us to go and help Dauphin. Otherwise audience will be in hands of English. Robert is telling now, I feel like a fool still if you feel sure. Polangi, I feel sure enough to take her to Chinon unless you stop me. So he said, yes, it's the decision is quite right. You only give us order and we will follow. So he's asking him, still if you feel sure to go, this is that some dots are there and question. That means, are you sure to help her out in this mission and to go right to Dauphin, to help Dauphin? So Polangi said, yes, I feel sure enough to take her to Chinon unless you stop me. Do you think I ought to have another talk with her? Robert is asking. Polangi going to the window. Yes, John, come up. John enters. Polangi gravely. Be seated, John. Robert said, what is your name? What is your name? John replied, they always call me Jenny in Lorraine. Here in France, I am Joanne. The soldiers called me the maid. How old are you? 17. So they tell me. I might be 19. I don't remember. Now she was square, very clever, and she is now just making the words twisted and making that military officer let some bit of more angry. I suppose you think raising a siege is as easy as chasing a cow out of a meadow? You think soldiering is anybody's job? Then, so Robert is asking that you think that to go on a mission is like so easy to chase a cow in the meadow, as you all peasant people do. And you think soldiering is anybody's job. So he's saying to be a soldier and do the duty is as ordinary anybody can do the soldier job. Is it like that? Very easy job. So John said, I don't think it can be very difficult if God is on your side. How cleverly she gave the reply here. I don't think it can be very difficult to act like a soldier and be on a mission and do the duty and lay down the life and be ready to lay down the life for a country if God is on your side. So if you have made up your mind to save your country, to save your king, or to say to do something for your country, then God is on your side. And when God is on your side, you should never worry about anything. You should not be in any kind of tension, because he himself is on your side. And when he is there, so victory is yours always, because when God is with you, you have the daring, you have the strength, you have the courage, and you have the blessing. So you will be the winner only. Robert grimly Have you ever seen English soldiers fighting? Have you ever seen them plundering, burning, turning the countryside into a desert? Have you heard no tales of their prince, who is the devil himself, or the English king's father? So he's giving the examples of their enemy to him, to this girl. Joanne said, "You do not understand, Squire. Our soldiers are always beaten because they are fighting only to save their skins. And the shortest way to save your skin is to run away. But I will teach them all to fight for France. Then they will drive the soldiers before them like sheep. You and Polly will live to see the day when there will not be a single English soldier on the sail of France." Now, this was the reply of this girl, that till now, how the soldiers were? They were only fighting to save their skins, and the only shortcut was for them was to run away. But I will teach them to all to fight for France. And as they will fight for France, they will make the other enemies to run like a ship.